Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
So Kanye West essentially is saying White Lotus ain't got nothing on me.
Yes, he is very openly in a new song describing a incestuous relationship that he says he had with a male cousin when they were teenagers. The song that he dropped today is called Cousins. Now, we're going to play a little bit of it for you. There's a whole explanation of how this relationship started, but this is what he's claiming. And again, we're used to hearing outrageous things from Kanye.
In other words, translation, we don't know what's true and what isn't.
Right, but here's what he's saying in the song.
Well, you can kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
So, look, we don't know. He has been off the rails now for months. I mean, not weeks, for months. And, you know, is this real? Maybe.
This is a cousin he's referred to before. This is a cousin he says is actually doing time. He's in prison now for murdering someone. And he's talked about that cousin in public before.
But not about this.
But never about this alleged relationship between them.
Yeah, Kanye's social media has kind of been hinting that he wants to reveal some things lately. Yeah, we don't know if it's true or not, but the song, you know, really does go into detail about what happened. You know, he's been hinting that his mom may have been a lesbian, and they discovered some magazines that, you know, led them to experiment on each other, him and his cousin.
We should explain because we had to censor some of it, but what he was saying was that the magazines that he found in his mom's room or somewhere in the house showed gay sex, and that he and his cousin decided they wanted to try some of it is, and I wonder I don't know where his cousin is incarcerated.
Is it possible, look, we don't know, but is it possible that all of the talk about White Lotus, because
made him feel like I want to say something that's gonna,
whether it's true or not true, that he tapped into it? Because that's what he's done. I mean, with Trump, he tapped into it. With other things, with Kim, he tapped into it. And it's like,
I don't know. It's so hard.
Well, we don't know if it's true, but it does sound like he's going to deliver more messages in his music going to line. This is just the first of the latest album that he plans on releasing. So.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, it looks like he is now back with Bianca Censori. You know that they had gone to divorce lawyers. In fact,
they've gone to divorce lawyers
3 times he's been since October.
Right, and then he dropped a song last month that basically, or earlier this month, where he was begging Bianca to come back to him, and apparently it worked because they were seen together in Spain, going to a restaurant. I don't know if this means that everything is back hunky-dory with him, but
and she's clothed.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it's relevant.
It's a difference there, yeah.
It's totally relevant. Is this Madrid?
Mallorca.
Mallorca?
Yeah.
Look, she has been to a divorce lawyer, we know, at least once. He's been 3 times. At least 2 of the 3 said, I'm not going to represent you. Because they just didn't want to. A third, he was going to file for divorce, and that fell apart and decided not to. So we know of all of those, and there may be more.
Right.
But
for now,
it looks like
they're at least doing dinner together.
They're doing dinner.
This is Buki from Texas. And in terms of the cousin issue, with Kanye's past, I don't know whether it's a art he's doing, is fact, fiction, or a combination. Either way, it doesn't change the fact he needs help. And in terms of his wife, unless they're pulling a stunt together, I don't think they're back together.
Well, why would they be in Spain
together?
That doesn't make sense.
It seems like their relationship is stunt-driven. That is what that relationship is about, stunt-driven. If they're just out and about, I don't think they're together. I think it has to be some sort of stunt that Kanye is pulling for them to really be together.
But if he is telling her, I want to do this stunt, what's in it for her to do it?
Well, money.
People know who she is. She's famous. Her body's been everywhere. Fame will do a lot for people.
I like her point of view. I like that she's strong in this.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
there are people who have not believed that this relationship is like an actual normal marriage.
I think it's real relationship. I mean, I think it's a real.
It's a real relationship, but what? Oh,
don't make me decode. Speaking of relationships, wow.
No one can decode this one just yet, except maybe people in their families, because Billy Ray Cyrus is apparently dating Elizabeth Hurley. That's what they both. That's the image they both put out there.
Well, when you look
Easter.
at this picture, it's kind of obvious,
right,
undeniable.
It's a photo that a lot of people looked at it first and were like, "Oh, this is like some sort of AI creation."
Nope.
It's an actual photo. He's got the bunny ears on and everything. And I think this is significant because we know Elizabeth Hurley has a really good relationship with her kids. But one of her son actually posted on that same, commented on that post. And it's pretty clear from his comment that he was aware they are together.
It's just very interesting because recently, like, Billy Ray seemed to be going through some things. Remember, he had his nasty divorce with Fire Rose, and then he, had performed at the inauguration with Trump, and that was kind of weird because the music cut out and he was singing, and people thought he was under the influence of something, and then his son Trace came out and blasted him. But now it's kind of like a happy ending because he's obviously seems to be on good terms with Elizabeth's son. Obviously, he had commented, like you guys mentioned.
What about his relationship with Miley? What's that like?
Unclear, but a lot of people have noticed the only person that Elizabeth follows is Noah, his other daughter, on social media.
Right.
So I guess she's kind of got some kind of relationship with one of his family members.
Hi, my name's Molly from North Carolina, and I think it's not really surprising that people are kind of upset about this relationship, given his very questionable history. And I think also that who you date and who you have relationships with are it's a direct reflection of who you are as a person. So people are going to start thinking of Elizabeth Hurley in a very different light. But maybe this just proves that there really is someone for everybody.
Okay, hopefully that's a true statement. Okay, we are going to move on.
Yes, to the brewing war between George Clooney and President Trump.
I don't know that this is a war.
Well, Trump certainly would like it to be, because I know it would get a lot of headlines, and he is doing his best to try and pull George Clooney into it, because you may have seen George Clooney was on 60 Minutes. They did a piece where he was critical of the president and really all of D.C. And the way it's been running since this administration came into power. Well, President Trump saw that and fired back, basically calling Clooney a second-rate movie star. Also took a shot at 60 Minutes for doing a puff piece. So here's George Clooney this morning. He was sitting down with Gayle King, and this is his response to President Trump.
President Trump called you a second-rate movie star.
That's true.
And a failed we were just saying that about you the other day, George.
Yeah, that's okay.
And a failed political pundit. We're saying it in jest, but what was your reaction?
I don't care. I mean, I've known
care.
Donald
Yeah,
Trump for a long time. My job is not to please, the President of the United States. My job is to try to tell the truth when I can and when I have the opportunity. And look, I'm well aware of the idea that that people will not like that. There will be people that criticize that, and there's certainly people. Elon Musk is weighed in every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's their right to do it, and it's my right to say the other side.
Mm-hmm.
It's hardly a war. It's like Trump.
No,
Trump has gone after so many people that this isn't even a skirmish. You know what I mean? It's like it's just what happened.
If Clooney wanted to take the bait, then he would fire back.
Can I
and say
tell you something?
About,
Do you know one of the reasons I think he hasn't taken the bait? Because there's still a big controversy over the whole Biden thing. And it's true, George Clooney came out and said Joe Biden should sit this one out. But he said it really late. Right. And what's come out is a lot of people have said that they knew for a long time.
But Clooney has said that he didn't know, and that's why he spoke up.
But he's listen, I am way less connected than George Clooney. I heard this a year before it came out. And I talked to you about that, about a breakfast I had where this came out. And so
I don't know if that was a year before.
It was a year.
Clooney.
It was almost a full year before that came out. Everybody knew. You just don't all of a sudden one day say, I'm not functioning particularly well. I mean, you saw it in the media, and a lot of the media didn't show it, but it was pretty damn evident.
I think we just got completely off the actual subject, but
Well, that's what
Not
we
a
do.
first, not a
That's
first
what we
for
do.
us.
Okay, we are going to take a break.
When we come back, Justin Bieber back at Coachella for weekend number 2. And this time, his behavior has a lot of his fans concerned. You're going to see the videos that have people wondering what is really going on in Justin's life. Coachella has been very revealing to Justin Bieber fans from start to finish after they just finished the second weekend out there in the desert. But you remember that this all started when he showed up in Palm Springs and was going after paparazzi, saying they're only there for money. Seems obvious. But then this weekend, he was out watching a lot of the acts perform, just like he did the first weekend. But now fans were taking a lot of notice of his behavior and felt like...
It looks like he's almost being held up in some ways.
Yes, that it seems like his friend is kind of holding him up. People thought, was he out of it? What was he on something? Or just over drinking? Whatever it was, there were concerns once these videos started circulating online.
And part of the reason there are concerns is that there have been stories now for months and months that we've just kind of been hearing, and now it's kind of coming out that he is going through something. And, you know, he has essentially isolated himself from pretty much everybody who was in his life, from his manager to the best man of his wedding, who he went into business with, to all sorts of people.
And all of that is coming at the same time that he is getting deeper and deeper involved into a church and a new pastor in his life.
And the pastor seems to be the center of the universe for him.
Right. And the fact that those things are happening at the same time, people going, what's going on in his world? We just don't know. And
yeah, it's pretty troubling to see these videos. Also, he's at a different phase of life now than he was maybe 10 years ago, when this would look like an ordinary Coachella video, when maybe he was partying a little bit too hard. You know, he's a father of, I believe, like an 8-month-old kid. He's clearly going through something where he's surrounding himself with maybe not the right type of people, or maybe just a strange group at this stage of life. So I think the concern trolling is not really overstated that much. People are worried about him because he looks a little bit different. He looks kind of gaunt, and he's clearly going through something.
You know, I talked to somebody a couple of days ago who was saying that, you know, you can look at all of the people, Scooter Braun and this woman Allison and all sorts of people, and okay, get it. But I mean, get it in the sense that that's his prerogative. Right. But the one that really has gotten people is the best man at his wedding, who was a really good guy and somebody,
and was a business partner of his as well.
And he just 86'd him, extra sketched him out of his life.
Hey there, I'm Charles Peralta from New York, and I think people are really overreacting about Justin Bieber. This is a man in his early 30s, a new dad, and yeah, he has some personal stuff in his life, but at the end of the day, people just expected him to be partying up like he's 21 again. He's in his 30s, it's just a rough time, and this happens to everyone as they get older, so I just think the media is way overreacting here for clicks.
The weird thing is to hear people thinking of the 30s as old.
Well,
relatively for Bieber it is. Because he's been famous for so long.
And just, you know, I'm not reacting so much to the media as I am the people I've talked to who were around him for many years. Okay, this next thing is something that really got me
I
over the
know
weekend.
This really struck you because, so we're talking about the release of the government files on the RFK assassination, an event that you were actually very nearby when it happened, right? You were at the Ambassador Hotel. So that's why what you're about to see struck Harvey as kind of weird. This is Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, who was on Fox this weekend talking about these RFK files being released, when she brought up a story that I'm sure sounded familiar to you and maybe to a lot of people who have studied
It was everywhere.
RFK's assassination.
If you were there back then, you heard this story.
What you'll find, and as folks go to archives.gov/RFK, they will see a number of documents that really support the questions that Secretary Kennedy has been asking for decades around who really killed his father. There, for example, was a woman who ran away from the scene of the shooting yelling, "We got him." She yelled, "We shot him. We shot him."
So that made a lot of news back then. Here's the deal on it. I know that woman. She went to college with me. Her name...
The woman that Tulsi Gabbard was referring to.
Her name is Valerie Schulte. And she was, what they called her back then, was the girl in the polka dot dress. That yes, there was a girl in a polka dot dress who ran out of the Ambassador after the shooting. And what she actually screamed was, they shot him. Somebody misheard it as we shot him. And it became a
that's
big
how
thing.
Conspiracy theories
And that's how
blossom.
conspiracy themes, but it was debunked rather quickly. And she was working for the RFK campaign and was near Robert Kennedy when he was shot. So that was debunked very shortly after the assassination. And this is an example of a little bit of knowledge and a lot of power can be a dangerous combo.
Right, when you start bringing up something that was long since discredited, but people see it on TV and they go, well, she's the director of national intelligence.
Because most people don't remember it
must be
because
something to
it happened a long time ago. But nonetheless, it's like, you're the director of national intelligence. You should dig a little bit deeper than that. And that was the woman. She went to UCSB.
Right.
So, meanwhile,
in other administration news, Pete Hegseth, head of the Pentagon, I don't know how this happened a second time. The report in the New York Times is that there was a second group chat that that Hegseth was in, where he was discussing military plans.
A different one from the one with the Houthis.
Correct. And this time, his wife was in the chat.
His brother was in the chat, and his personal lawyer was in the chat. For what reason, we don't know. But this story came out, and it apparently, or according to the Times, happened after he was warned on the first Signal chat. And so there is now talk that they're going to 86 this guy from that role.
No, they've said, which is an erroneous report from NPR, the good folks over there. I roll. The Caroline Levitt has said this is nonsense. The reality is that recruitment's up. I think morale is up under Pete Hegseth. They've hated this guy from the second Donald Trump nominated him. They have been intent on destroying this guy. And this is just the latest attempt.
Mike, I'm not going to disagree with you. There are people who have had it out for him and don't want him to be in that role.
Charles.
However, just on its face, if there are actual group chats where these other people are in there, I think we all agree that that's a bad thing, right?
His wife?
I don't know. What are the contents of the conversation? I don't know.
Why would she?
I remember that Lloyd. I do not. I am trying to recall back when Lloyd Austin literally disappeared, and there was no Chiron on our show here that said chaos in the Pentagon.
We weren't.
Not a single peep.
Well, no. By the way, Babcock, we talked about that and said Lloyd Austin. It was terrible what he did. So
fair enough.
But what you're missing is that you're saying this is all coming from the media and everything else. His former press secretary at the Department of Defense talked to Politico yesterday and said that DOD has been in chaos and that this is his press secretary who resigned.
A fired former employee who has an axe to grind. Says something. I mean, maybe it's true, but maybe it's not. But we should acknowledge, I think, that part, that this is somebody who is no longer working there, who seems to be disgruntled.
Yeah, along
very well could be.
Along with two other senior officials that have had a lot of
we're getting
experience.
away from just the very heart of it. If the
you don't put your wife
Secretary
on.
of Defense is sharing military secrets with family members.
We didn't say, Charles, on his personal phone, not on the government phone.
If that is true, that's a problem. And there should be chaos at the Pentagon if that's true.
My name is Drina. I'm from Brooklyn. And when it comes to these classified government documents being released after so many years, I find it interesting. But I find it more interesting how you debunked that whole woman screaming, they shot him, because that was definitely something I've never heard before when they spoke on the assassination.
Right, but it came out. I mean, look, I was there.
Right.
It came out. It was a widely reported thing. And it was Valerie, and Valerie worked for RFK Jr. She did not scream, they shot him, we shot him. She screamed, they shot him. So that was a well-documented thing. If you look it up, you'll see the stories. Okay, we are going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, the Diddy lawsuit that also claimed Odell Beckham and Duski were involved in a sexual assault. Well, now Duski might have the smoking gun to get him out of this. Where he was at the time of the alleged incident is worlds away from Diddy and his party scene. This is not going to look good for Duski financially, but it may get him out of this case.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Justin Timberlake made Portland kids' dream come true by joining a bike bus ride. And they always listen to Justin Timberlake.
Cry me a river when they fall. Yeah, right.
It's TMZ.
Well, very successful, I should say, now, successful comedian Duski is offering some evidence in this lawsuit that where he's accused of a sexual assault. We told you about this a couple months ago. A woman says that in 2018, she was at a party a Diddy party in Northern California, and when Diddy, Odell Beckham, the NFL star, and Duski sexually assaulted her. This lawsuit came as a shock. At the time, Duski said, he's like, in 2018, I was at home. I was living with my mom. Broke.
As a joke.
Yeah, well, it was no joke. We have now seen his bank statement from that month in 2018. The guy literally had less than $1 in his bank account. And
was not hanging in Diddy circles, it seems.
Not in Diddy circles. Was living in Georgia with his mom. Most of his income, you saw in the statement there, it said he had $200 deposited. Those were wire transfers from his mom. Right.
And, he was buying things like $3 at McDonald's.
and $12 at Cold Stone Creamery.
That was his biggest purchase.
That was the big purchase.
No, seriously.
Right. And the point is, how in the world would this guy have been in Diddy's world at that point? And Duski had not blown up then.
I don't know how far this argument gets him, right? He's suggesting that because he was so poor, he never could have been in Diddy's orbit. But I don't know, don't big-time celebrities sometimes take on projects?
I mean, look, Duski became a thing, actually became known during the pandemic. He had a lot of skits that he posted online that went viral. And that's when he became famous. And that's when he did actually blow up and become got invited to events where he did meet people like Odell
But Jason's
Beckham.
point is that doesn't automatically mean he couldn't have been in Diddy's orbit.
We've seen a number of times. I don't remember with Diddy specifically, but I remember Kanye sort of seeing street performers, people who are just sort of rapping on the sidewalk and saying, hey, you sound great, give me your information, give my security your information. And then they bring them to studio shoots, for example, or recordings, for example. And so you would think that maybe Diddy did the same thing with Duski. Just throwing it out there.
Could be. By the way, we should say he has submitted, we're told that these documents have been submitted to the plaintiff's attorney. And they're obviously trying to get Duski dropped from this lawsuit.
Hi, my name is Shay. I'm from OKC. I think the allegations is really crazy. As y'all see, Duski, even himself, like not even trying to be funny, he didn't have the funds to even try and be in that crowd. So I think this is just a situation where how every celebrity comes up, and especially being new, and someone wants to have a piece of the pie, and that's just what it is. And I hate that he's having to go through this, especially being part of Diddy. That is a whole situation you don't want to be accused of.
By the way, the Diddy trial now will start next month. The defense wanted a continuance. They did not get it, so it starts next month. Every weekend we put polls up on the website to find out how you feel about things that we posted in the prior week. We did it this weekend. Here are the results.
Yes, Diddy's alleged victims allowed to remain anonymous. That's the way it should be, or not fair.
Okay, kind of expected that.
Yeah.
Next, Bill Maher visiting Trump at the White House. Good on him. He's in the game, or he should stay clear of Trump. I'm interested in this. Huh.
Almost.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Divided down the middle.
Gail, Lauren, and Katie, they're legit astronauts. No way they just hitched a ride.
Oh, it's got to be that. Oh, yeah. Look at that.
97%.
That's crazy. Okay, next. Justin Bieber is doing just fine, for sure. Social media is making blank up about him, or no, he is in crisis.
They're going to say he's in crisis. Yeah.
By a lot. One more. America's best days yet to come, over and out. I think they're going with the latter. By 2-1.
Wow.
Look at that. Wow.
That's bleak.
It is bleak, but we don't sugarcoat on these polls.
No.
We are going to take a break.
All right. When we come back, one band's performance at Coachella turned into a huge protest. Why Israel and the war with Hamas was front and center at Coachella for a second week in a row now. Welcome back to TMZ Live. Coachella was a big hit for one band in particular. If you consider the fact that people are talking about them a success, then I guess Kneecap would be pretty happy. Maybe you've never heard of Kneecap before. I hadn't before Coachella, but they are an Irish rap trio. But what people are talking about is not really their music, it's the message that they put on stage while they were performing, clearly taking a stand in the war between Israel and Hamas.
They're bombing them from the skies. If you're not calling it a genocide, what are you calling it? Free, free! Free, free! We have to use whatever platform we have to talk about this stuff. I don't want to be lecturing people. Believe me, I'd love to not have to get political, but nothing is changing. And don't get it twisted, the American government can stop this tomorrow morning.
You know, it is stunning, though, that they're taking a stand at a music festival.
Because October 7th started at a music festival.
They are known for this. On the first weekend, they led the crowd in an anti-Margaret Thatcher chant. And I don't know if anybody in the audience even knew who Margaret Thatcher was, but being from Northern Ireland...
That's depressing.
Yeah, it's kind of. But they are from Northern Ireland. They are very much a very political band. They told Rolling Stone last year, they said, you know, of course it's going to be about politics because of where we're from. And they kind of equate a little bit Northern Ireland with Palestine and Britain with Israel. But it's interesting, the front man of Kneecap said, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, just because we rap in Irish and might not align with your political views, we can be friends with people that we don't align with politically.
It doesn't feel...
By the way, part of the backlash here, I mean, there are people, obviously there are going to be people who support their message and people who are against it, but a lot of the backlash has been against the organizers of Coachella because people are wondering why they would allow a group that has very publicly on their social media espoused the actions of Hamas, and why were they allowed on stage for a second week? The first week that they went out, Coachella cut off the live stream. So they still performed, but they cut the live stream. So they were aware of...
Yeah, Kneecap was in the Sonora tent, and Coachella didn't live stream that tent at all. So they cut them off the first weekend and then didn't broadcast it on their live stream at all the second weekend. So they were kind of... Seemed like they wanted to have them there and have that controversy, but hedge their bets to not broadcast it.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing too is that then they're accused of censorship if they say you can't go on. The only thing I would say is, it's one thing to say you're pro-Palestinian. When you say you're pro-Hamas, good luck living under Hamas if you want to do that. Because if you're a woman, if you're LGBTQ, or various other things, you're going to have big problems. But I get why Coachella would say, look, we're not going to start censoring views.
But they censor them online. So if you're going to do that, and I get your point about you don't want to start censoring because that's a slippery slope.
Right.
But you did start censoring.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it.
If you didn't want their message to go out on your live stream, was it okay to have them on your stage performing at all?
I mean, it's fair. That's fair.
Hey guys, Ashley here from Arizona. I completely understand celebrities, singers, whatever, utilizing their stage presence to exhaust like political views and whatnot. But I personally feel like Coachella is like the place for especially young people to go and like forget all the chaos in the world and just live free and have a great time. And so I kind of feel like this just was not the right time or place for a political rally.
Yeah, I mean, remember, Bernie Sanders showed up in the first
That's true. I mean, Bernie Sanders did show up.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on.
Yes, moving on now to Shannon Sharpe facing some very serious allegations from a woman who seemed, as she describes herself, as a former girlfriend who is now suing him for $50 million, alleging he repeatedly raped her during their time together. She admits that they were in a consensual relationship, but that things got kind of ugly last year and beginning of this year when she says that he had a very angry reaction to some things that she was doing.
Yeah, Shannon actually says, or I guess she actually says in the lawsuit that this stemmed from Shannon's, you guys remember when he had that live stream, what appeared to be sex episode?
Oh, right, right.
In her lawsuit, Jane Doe alleges that she basically wanted to break things off with him following that. She claimed that it was cheating and it was infidelity and she wanted no part of him.
So she's saying that wasn't her.
Correct. She says that was
Instagram
not
live.
her, and
Right.
it was proof that she was cheating. And she said it was proof that he had been leading her on and saying that he was only having sex with her and he was her only partner. Well, she says she tried to break that off, and then in turn, Shannon kind of responded in this way, not just in October, but then in January, she says after he promised to bring her a Christmas gift and a birthday gift, he forced himself on her again. So
Edward, has Shannon responded to this?
No, and actually he appeared on ESPN today doing his job as normal. And in fact, just a few minutes ago, Paul Heyman was on was talking on Pat McAfee's show on ESPN and made reference to it as well. So there's been some references to it on ESPN, but nothing from Shannon or the honchos over there.
Mara here from Bolingbrook, Illinois. I'm interested in seeing how this will play out for Shannon. We know it's innocent until proven guilty, but the court of public opinion is very real. It also makes me wonder, though, is this another attempt for Busby to extort a high-profile celebrity? My thoughts and prayers are definitely with the victim because these claims are horrendous.
Yeah, we say Tony Busby is the attorney for the woman who's suing.
Yep. Okay, we are going to take a break.
All right, when we come back, America's Most Wanted. They are back for a third season starting tonight, but they're no longer just catching criminals in the U.S. This has gone international for a few good reasons. John and his son Callahan will be here to tell you how things are changing for them in the fugitive business when we come back. John Walsh, still at it. and back for a third season of the now renewed America's Most Wanted.
Which, by the way,
tonight-
started in 1988.
The original, yeah. It's listen, there's a reason that this show is still on is because they are actually catching people. In fact, they're catching people not only in this country now, but around the world, courtesy of new developments with technology. Like now, their show is streamed around the world, and that is changing how they capture.
Before we bring them on, can I just tell you, I literally watched a Dateline 2 nights ago, and America's Most Wanted caught this woman who murdered another woman, and they found her in Belize. She was in the United States, but they found her in Belize because of America's Most Wanted.
That's how effective this show has become. So joining us now, John and his son Callahan. John and Callahan Walsh, welcome back to TMZ Live. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, and thank you again for all your support over these years. And with that, that's how we, spread the word. But I appreciate it very much. And Rob Wade from Fox decided that we needed to come out of retirement, and with all the things that were going on. So we did 6 episodes on the last season, and we caught 7 guys. I thought, well, I'm old, and I'm going to turn the reins over to Cal someday. But we caught 7 guys and recovered 2 missing kids. So tonight we start with a whole batch of new cases, and we're kicking some butt.
I think you heard about this Dateline that I saw, which was fascinating to me. And I started thinking about it. With surveillance cameras and AI and everything else, a lot of people think word of mouth is kind of archaic now. It's kind of, it's not relevant. But it really is relevant when it comes to you guys, because you don't know which surveillance camera to look at, but you put the picture out.
Someone out there will.
That's right.
Right. We still get lots of calls, old-fashioned phones. Social media has made a whole new dent in the catching bad guys. And but we've caught guys in 45 countries. We've caught 1,200 guys, recovered 61 stranger abducted missing kids, like my son Adam. Those are the kids we don't usually get back alive. And the one I'm very proud of is we've caught 17 guys off the FBI's 10 most wanted, more than any FBI agent in the history of the FBI. So
wow.
The public is fantastic to us. I'm saddling back up. My old saying, saddle up, because I'm a horse guy. And so what the problem is, there's so much crime. The stats are off the Richter. We've got Haitian guys, the Haitian gang members that actually made so much money selling drugs that they paid their way across the Mexican border. In the old days, Harvey, you remember when they used to come across in rafts in South Florida. Now they're sophisticated enough.
John, why do you have to say in the old days and mention me?
Hey,
I mean, come on.
Callahan,
I got to say one thing. You and Charles never look so good. You guys are working hard.
All right, now we're getting to the good stuff. Excellent. Thank you. No, Callahan, I got to ask you, with the some of those stats your dad just mentioned, you guys should be officially deputized with the success you've had. I know you start your 3rd season tonight, and you are starting with a case that is it was very upsetting. A National Guardsman who was killed in Chicago a few years ago. What have you guys learned on the Chris Carvajal case?
We have a 19-year-old National Guardsman home on vacation for 4th of July, celebrating the weekend with friends and family, and is brutally gunned down. It's a travesty, and the crime's gone unsolved. And these are the cases we do on America's Most Wanted, the cases where the public can really make a difference, the cases where law enforcement has hit a dead end. They've exhausted every resource that they have, but the one resource that we know is the power of the public. They are our force multiplier. They're the reason that we get the captures, and we're going to shine the white-hot spotlight on this case tonight. And, as my dad said, we got some great captures last season. It's talking about statistics. We've captured more fugitives than we've even aired episodes. We've caught 1,198 fugitives in the total history of America's Most Wanted.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Hey, we're about out of time. Just real quick, I'm really curious to know what both of you think of the cry of sympathy and support for Luigi Mangione. That, by all accounts, he gunned down this healthcare CEO, and people are celebrating him. A lot of people, especially young people, as a hero.
Think about this. Think about the collateral damage. First of all, he planned it. This wasn't a manslaughter. This was a planned first-degree murder, and he shot him in the back. You know, in the old days, you went face to face and you used the knife or whatever. This is first-degree murder. What about the family? What about the collateral? What about his children and his mother and grandfather?
A lot of people don't care.
And it's why don't they care, Harvey? Why it's vigilantism, and we all dislike the healthy companies. They're a cartel in their own. But you don't shoot a guy in the back and murder him. You try to take it through the system. You fight in the media. You know, this would be like me saying I was going to go out and kill people that murdered kids. Yeah, I think they should get that, but it's murder. It's a first degree murder that he planned to do it. It's not right. What if our society just breaks down, and if you don't like the cartel that you're dealing with, the insurance company or whatever it is you're doing, you just go out and shoot them in the back? You know, that's the breakdown of society.
All right. Well, glad to see you guys back on the job. Starting tonight, season 3 starts at 9 o'clock, 8 Central on Fox. America's Most Wanted.
Congrats on the new season, guys.
Congrats, guys.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. We're taking a break.
All right. When we come back, a big weekend for Kristen Stewart, who, surprise, got married. We got the photos when we come back.
On the TMZ Celebrity Tour, we've seen huge stars like Kevin Hart, Ben Affleck, The Rock, and Jamie Foxx. Buses depart daily from the Hard Rock Cafe in Hollywood, so head to TMZTour.com and book your tickets for the TMZ Celebrity Tour.
Well, Kristen Stewart took your advice, really. Don't do a big old wedding that costs you tons of money.
Now she can buy a condo.
Now she can afford a condo because she did get married this weekend, but did not do a big lavish thing. This was, obviously they planned it out because there were family and friends who were there.
Yeah, they actually got married at a Mexican restaurant called Casita del Campo, which honestly is right up my alley because it's all pink. Very, very cute. But here's the thing. They were engaged for quite a while. Dylan popped the question in 2021.
Oh, wow.
And yeah.
4 years?
So usually when couples get engaged and they take years, plural, to get married, people always are raising an eyebrow, but they made it happen and they are in love.
That's really cool they did it there at a Mexican restaurant. I think that's really cool.
Why,
I don't know. What are you supposed to bill?
Chips and guac?
What are you supposed to bill was?
What are you there?
I mean, I think it's great. The bill's probably going to be $480.
Do you think it was open guac?
And it could be fun. And you know what? It's probably more fun than one of these lavish where you got to wear the tuxedo and the whole number and whatnot. You know?
You just don't want to be invited.
Hi, I'm Tiffany from Atlanta, Georgia. Congratulations to Kristen and Dylan. I remember Kristen a while back, she was talking about, wanting to have kids with Dylan. So this is a very exciting chapter in their lives, and I wish them nothing but the best.
Yep. Us too. What else you guys want to talk about?
Hey, I'm Love Jones, repping Brooklyn, New York, and Kanye West needs help. He has children of his own that could see everything that he posts on the internet. I really don't understand the reasoning behind his tweets. I believe that he should speak with a professional, and it's just really unfortunate. I don't understand it.
There are a lot of people in his life who feel exactly like you do.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, this thing about that it's going to live on the internet and the kids are going to read it when they get older and everything else. And who knows what's to come after this. Right. One more.
Hi, I'm Bernadette. I'm from Atlantic Beach, New York. You know what? Justin Bieber vibing out at Coachella to his songs. People have been making fun of him because he looks kind of out of it or out there. He's been through so much already. I mean, if the kid wants to vibe out, whether it's to his songs or to somebody else's, let him do it. I mean, you only live once. He's been through enough. He's happily married, allegedly. He's got this cute little kid.
When you can't go in the allegedly like that. Married and you add allegedly, that takes it to a whole other space.
Yeah.
Okay. We are going to take a break.
All right. When we come back, Barbie gets back to doing Barbie stuff. Margot Robbie hitting the beach when we come back. Well, a few months into new motherhood, and Margot Robbie back at the beach. She's down in Australia, her homeland.
Baby? What baby?
We can't. I don't know if the baby was there with them this week, but she and her husband Tom Ackerley had a fun day at the beach. The baby might have been there somewhere, but they were with some family and friends and soaking up the beach life on the Gold Coast for Easter.
But she has got. I'll tell you, she is going to be a powerhouse for decades. She really is. I mean, she's got this production company. She smells hits. She knows. No, she
knows.
does.
She gets the formula now.
She really does. And you know, everybody thinks, oh, it's so easy. So many people don't. And you just feel it with her that over the years, she's going to be like a Ron Howard.
Wow.
I know, high praise.
That is high praise.
And Brian Grazer, I should say.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's her. Good for her.
I've never seen Ron Howard or Brian Grazer in similar swimwear, and I'm good with that.
Okay, we will see you tomorrow.